Hello and welcome to the Time for Marketing podcast, the podcast that brings you the best marketing conference speakers and allows them 5 minutes to sum up their presentations. My name is Peter and I'll be your host today, as I was in the previous 43 episode, as this is episode number 44. And we have a big one for you today. But before we go there, as always, if you're on YouTube, you can subscribe somewhere down there and click all of the weird buttons that you have to click to get the notifications. The podcasts are published every 2 weeks on Fridays, so that you don't miss any other episodes. And of course, if you're listening on a podcast app, just give us a review and subscribe there. Timeformarketing.com is what is the website where you can find all of the previous episodes. I must say, I've been doing this for almost 3 years now, and there are some great episodes in the archive that didn't really grow stale. So if you have time, it's going to be summer soon. Maybe swipe through the previous episodes and figure out and listen to the in more interesting episodes. And that was a very long introduction. And Christopher Gutknecht, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Excellent. Thanks, Peter, for having me.
It's great to have you here. How is Munich? Are the birds chirping and flower blooming?
Possibly.
And is it summery yet?
Yes, actually. Yesterday. Yeah, summer came in yesterday. And
Excellent.
we're really happy here.
You've told me you're a climber. Did you go and enjoy any outdoor walls this year already, or is there still waiting for that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I try to get some climbing done every weekend. We had a couple of days in the Alps, and I had 2 weeks off over Easter in Greece. That was really nice.
All right, that's pretty sweet. We jumped to the Canarian Islands over the same holidays to get some sun and go away from the rain and cold of the homeland.
Nice.
Christopher, you are the team lead of analytics and performance at Bergzeit. What does that mean? What do you do, and what is maybe your favorite part of your job?
Right. So Bectite, we're an online retailer for mountain gear.
Mhm.
So anything you need for the mountains, especially I would say above an altitude of 1,000 meters, that's where
Okay.
we're really good at. So it could be just regular climbing, hiking, skiing equipment. So anything you need to get a better mountain experience, we're there to help. And what I do, as the title tells you, analytics and performance. And
Mhm.
I started a long time ago in performance marketing, and then sort of slowly, gradually moved into data and tech. And now I really like the combination of having the business role of performance marketing and acquisition, or being responsible, but also applying the data knowledge and the tactics to create tools that can help generate better quality traffic. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's a fun game to
You
play.
worked at a SEM agency in the past, is that right?
That's right. It was a Munich agency with a focus on e-commerce. No
Mm.
Risk was the name, and yeah, that was
A lot of
close
people,
to 6 years. Yeah,
yeah, a lot of people would say that going to an agency is a great start to a marketing career. Would you agree with that?
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you get a very wide exposure across different clients, industries, and then usually when the team is a bit larger, you get to know lots of different approaches. You can learn
Mm.
from each other, etc. It's definitely a better chance to learn, let's say, from a field like PPC or SEO, very broad range of tactics. What it does enable you to do compared to in-house, and what I really enjoy, is really go deep into one larger problem. Yeah,
Mm.
that's probably the
Mm.
biggest difference.
An old song said, leave before it makes you hard. And sort of, I believe this is the agency side. You should go there, but there's a limited time span that you should be in an agency because of the a bit more stressful lifestyle that the agency gives you. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Although I do think, and I know a couple of agency founders that they really try to work on that and change that in a way that they want to make agency life more, more fun, more long lasting. So I
Mm,
think
mm,
overall you could say that there are very relaxed in-house jobs, but there are also very stressful in-house jobs, and for an agency the same. So
yeah,
the averages are probably a little bit
generalization.
different,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I think
Um,
agencies are working hard to improve that.
yeah, that's right. I mean, it is a big trend in not letting people to burn out, uh, and that's just a very good trend. Christopher, I've invited you to the podcast because you were a speaker at SMX Munich with your presentation called "Build Your Own SEO and SEM Tools with BigQuery." How was SMX for you? How is the virtual conference experience for you? And are you happy that it's ending?
That's ending. Um, Actually, I was there in a sort of studio, but basically all the attendees were via the web conferences, and it does have its benefits and also disadvantages. I think what I really most enjoyed is just meeting people and having the conversations.
Mm,
Um, Sometimes even more, it was even more fun than attending the actual sessions. So that I'm really looking forward to, just meeting people in person and having those, meaningful, in-depth discussions about very specific topics. Um, what is great though about the format is that you can just go through the presentations in your own time. So what I usually do when I clean the flat, I clean the bathroom, etc. I just listen to all of the presentations that I've sort of earmarked for myself, and
mm.
I think that is sort of the best of two worlds, like being able to meet people, but also being able to recap and rewind all those sessions that you didn't have a chance to attend.
Yeah, probably the idea of conferences having different streams or floors or whatever that you have to pick where to go is probably the most problematic in real life conferences. So now you can go and check out all of them. I'm having my first in person conference in next week in Slovenia, so I'm really looking forward to finally
Nice.
go again to go there. All right. Let's go to your presentations. Christopher, here are your 5 minutes.
Nice. Thank you very much. So the whole idea, and I think we'll share the slides as well, is that what I've really enjoyed to do, building my own products or with my team, is to solve the problems that other off-the-shelf tools cannot solve. And the driver behind this is that we as a team, where we do analytics and performance, we actually want to generate a competitive advantage, not just as an overall company, but as a team. And we cannot do that by just buying off the shelf products. And then we face our day to day problems or even potential that we see, and we try to solve that through data and technology. And I've been doing that for quite a while, for let's say 6 or 7 years. I started out with JavaScript, then with Python and SQL, and throughout the years, I realized that building those products, there's a layer of principles that need to be adhered to. That if you push something into production and it works for you, and it should do work for you, you need to build it in a more robust way. So, what we need to do as marketers, even if we have a growth perspective and we want to use data and technology, we have to apply this data product thinking. And that includes organizing your code in a way that you can document it, that you test the quality of your data, which is a really important one, especially if there's money connected to it. To give you an example, we have a conversion import where we import additional Google Ads conversions that were not captured by because of missing consent, and then we have an anonymous tracking, and this additional amount of conversions that we push in, it can cause extra spend. And this is a product that's really critical, and we have to make sure we ensure the highest quality. And this sort of higher quality standards, we try to apply quite rigidly across many different data products that we have built. And it's, on the one hand, it gives us a competitive advantage, is also a source of pride for us to say, this is something that we have built, this is unique to us. And it gives us a purpose and sort of a long-term vision of how we can grow by not just buying more tools or more expensive tools, but also improving our own tactics by building better data products. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. You yourself are a marketer. My question, of course, first is, of course, we want better tools and tools. We want to do it ourselves. But, I studied theoretical political science. That was a very bad decision and, learned SEO by myself. I'm a marketer. I don't know how to program. What can I do?
Yeah, I think there are many like low code or no code solutions that we can use, whether it's Google Sheets formulas, pulling in product feeds, and actually activating data beyond the, okay, we're going to build a dashboard, here are the numbers, and then hoping for somebody to make a decision, but to connect data sources and then actually having data flow through and do something, right? That is especially easy to do in the PPC space. It's harder to do in the SEO space. I think for SEO purposes, it's more sort of the data integration, where we could say, right, we're going to combine crawl data, sitemap data, search console data, and then do interesting sorts of data pre-processing to say, here are those lumps of, insights or nuggets. I think one example I mentioned in my session was to say, how can I evaluate sitemap efficiency? If I have 5 or 6 different sub sitemaps with many URLs but very low impression count, then that could help me to make the decision, how can I clean up my sitemap? And I think it does help to play around with these low code tools like Sheets, for instance, to help you solve your problem, and then sort of gradually getting into the understanding of data structures, how systems work together. And then I strongly recommend starting with SQL, where you can start organizing your data in a data warehouse. And that is becoming even simpler. And I think, especially with Google Analytics 4, more front and center, where everyone who's talking about Google Analytics 4 is saying, well, the UI is pretty immature. I wouldn't say it's crap, but it's far
A lot of people would.
beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's far away from all those ready-made universal analytics reports. And then everybody's saying, well, if you want to solve those specific problems, you just work with the raw data, and you need somebody with specific skills. And yes, it's not just the skill of writing SQL code, but it's also organizing that SQL code in a way that you can build those reports in a long-lasting fashion. And I think now is the perfect time to start with working with raw data, working with SQL, and understand how to model your own data, because it opens up so many possibilities beyond digital analytics, beyond SEO, where you can just combine data sources in a meaningful way without having to do VLOOKUPs in Excel. So I think it's a great opportunity that GA4 is giving us.
I think it's going to be a very interesting year, because now people are really going to start to think about their analytics and stuff. Because, up to today, very often it was, we have it there and maybe it works and maybe it doesn't. But now there going to have to be change, and we'll see how that's going to work out. But you're mentioning SQL and BigQuery. Which one of those? Why both? Yeah.
Yeah. So BigQuery is an obvious choice for marketers that have a high share of Google traffic, use Google Analytics, use Google Ads, where there are a couple of easy abstractions that we can just activate with a tap of a button, which is the Google Ads transfer. So all your structural data from Google Ads are synchronized into the data warehouse BigQuery. Same goes for a few other sources. Search Console, they're really good connectors now. And to get all your raw data organized in BigQuery from a marketer's perspective, it's very easy. It would be much easier than, for instance, in Snowflake,
Right.
which is sort of the main competitor. And then SQL is the language just to query your data in BigQuery. And the great advantage compared to other approaches like Google Sheets, for instance, is that you can scale it indefinitely, right? So if your volume and data grows, you do have an issue in Google Sheets if you're going beyond 1.1 million rows. And I think many marketers have shared this experience when Google Sheets just break, or they just stop loading, and you could say, are you going to wait, or are you going to abort the process? And the more you run into this problem with larger data sets, the more you should start thinking about a data warehouse.
And this is probably also the answer to my next question, where I wanted to be. I see companies that have that try to use Data Studio and probably Google Sheets and other sources to create their reports. But what we see, it's often that they actually have to go daily in there and fix stuff because it's the connectors are not working and the Data Studio by itself isn't working. The data validation, the thing that you talked about, is here immensely important. So probably also moving to BigQuery or other warehouses helps with that. But what are the other ways of how we can make sure that the data that we are seeing in our reports really is the data that is out there?
Yes. So that's something I have been working on a lot recently with my colleague, where we use a framework called DBT, and we have the option to describe a data set with lots of expert expectations. In other words, I would start with a simple expectation of this column that I'm getting from a source. This data set has 10 columns, and it should always have 10 columns. This one column in particular should always have 3 distinct values and nothing else, right? So you could think about if you have a Google Analytics property and you have 10 defined marketing channels, and you do any kind of logic, and then suddenly one drops out, or you have an extra marketing channel, then that could mess up your data. And that's what we've been doing recently, is really explicitly describing all these expectations to our data sets to help build robustness, and to capture many of these unexpected changes that sometimes get unobserved, to increase that quality. And it's really just down to, you're the subject matter expert for this data set. Describe and tell me everything you want to expect from this data set, and put that in writing and put that in tests, and then have that test suite run every day. And if one of those tests fails, then you can get an alert. And that's something you can do with the DBT cloud framework, which is really helpful. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Christopher, where can people talk to you if they would like to talk more about building their own tools? Do you have future conferences? Where can people contact you?
Right. I think I'm most active on LinkedIn actually these days. So that would be the easiest way to find me. We could also share my email address in the show notes. And in terms of conferences, I have one. I'm going to speak. It's the other SMX in Germany this year. It's the SMX Advanced, and I will actually be speaking on a similar topic, which is data modeling, because with GA4, as I already mentioned, more and more people are referring to, well, you should have to solve that with the raw data. But it opens the question, well, how do you make sure you transform those data sets in a way that you don't end up in chaos? So that's going to be my topic. I think SMX Advanced is coming out in September or October in Berlin. So look out for that. It's going to be good. And maybe another online conference I'm actually applying for. I'm not sure if they are they'll approve, but we'll see.
All right. A conference organizing people, if you're organizing conferences and Chris is signing up, you can see that his presentations are excellent. So you need to take him. Thank you very much for being on the podcast. Have a great day in Munich, and I'll see you around.
Thanks, Peter. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.